Hello, did you miss me? Welcome back to the 11 Spot Waffle. It has been a while, and in all that time there has been one wedding, 2 children and a Justin Timberlake musical comeback to boot. So really it was around time we also returned, and where else to start but with the Euro 2016 special. Our first guest tonight finds himself with 2 wins from 2 in our 4th series of the show. Hoping that a year away from the Waffle won't have left him rusty and looking to become the first ever person in the show's history to make it a hat-trick of wins, it's Steve Gibbard.
Hi everybody!
Welcome back. You could become the first one to get 3 in a row.
Well, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm pretty confident. I'm all for this, and I can win anytime if I want to.
You're also a bit like the Northern Ireland of the show in that you probably have the longest unbeaten run at the moment, given the amount of time it's been since we were last on there.
Well, it has been over 365 days, if I remember correctly, so I'll take that.
You feeling confident?
Guaranteed victory.
Good stuff. Okay, next up, a debutante. So new to the Waffle is this man that until about 2 weeks ago he'd never even heard of the show. A Liverpool fan and the only man I know who wears tennis shoes to play football in, give it up for James Curley.
You've got to hold and give, but do
Thank you
it.
very much. What a brilliant introduction, Mark.
Okay. we have a crack team of writers that sit and do this.
Yeah, you can tell it's all in your brain.
They don't get paid.
No.
So how are you feeling about your first ever appearance on the show?
I'm feeling good. I listened to about 10 minutes of the World Cup one. Got a few interesting answers that people might feel quite good. So yeah, quietly confident. But first radio or podcast ever. So it's a bit nerve-wracking, but it'll be fun.
Good to hear that. Right, and finally, it wouldn't feel like the Waffle without our next guest. So ingrained in the show's history is, if you cut him, he bleeds maple syrup. Now making a living whilst talking to people about the merits of suction and blowing, it's Chris Stanley.
Believe it or not, I do have a colleague that generally does try and fit as much innuendo in as she can about vacuum cleaners, and I mean, it's quite difficult sometimes to stand. And she's just like, yeah, I think this one's got really good suction, and the customer's even there, so they're going, well, why do you keep talking about the suction? It's like, well, you just got to look at the head on this. And just like, no, leaving, stop.
Chris, is there any possibility now that you're a bigwig at Dyson that you can hook us all up with Dyson Airblades?
I would, except all the reports about Dyson Airblades seems to suggest that they actually spread bacteria whilst you're drying your hands because there's almost too much power. So maybe not. Wouldn't want to infect your homes.
Have you seen that new one though that's built into the tap? So you have like the tap bit.
Yes.
And then the hand dryer at the
when I went on my induction, they had those. That was weird. It was kind of like, okay, it dries on the tap, okay.
That's so cool.
I didn't really have any warning, so it's just like, oh, okay, fine.
Why would you need one on a tap?
You don't even have to take your hands out of the sink to dry them.
But wouldn't it defeat the object? Because your hands would get wet. Would the water even touch your hands? Would they be too powerful to just blow it away?
They're like on the tops of the taps, so you're not sort of washing and drying at the same time.
Why? Who thought this was a good idea?
I don't know. There are many things that we're sort of creating at Dyson that are sort of like, you know, like a £300 hairdryer, and you're just like, but what? And how? Why?
I like that you've just said we're creating at Dyson, like you're the one with the hat and the screwdriver.
Yeah, personally, just, welding it together as we speak. Sorry for any sort of sparks you hear in the background.
Yeah, and if you want to play the ukulele whilst vacuuming, Chris has designed one for you.
Never, no. You wouldn't even be able to hear the ukulele over the vacuum.
Alright, really, I think we should probably push on in the direction of question number 1. And with the EU referendum due to take place on June the 23rd, there is a distinct possibility that we will be out of the EU before the tournament's finished. So in the event that we actually do leave Europe, what is one custom or tradition from another European country which we should take with us before we go? And we'll start with Chris.
There are so many weird European traditions and so little time. I was looking at Finland's wife-carrying tradition, where they actually have to have a race carrying. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wife, but it does have to be some sort of significant other, and you have to carry them through a special obstacle track in the fastest time, and there are prizes. But then I saw there's an island in Greece called Chios, a small town called Vrontatus, where every year, they have, around Easter, they try and ring the bell of the opposite church with rockets. Not sort of like climb up and try to sort of ring the bell, in a normal fashion. No, just like fire loads of wooden sticks with an explosive mixture including gunpowder and launch them from crude platforms. And presumably they have to try and count the direct hits the next day. But there's not really an accurate way of doing that. So one parish will just say like, oh no, we definitely won. Definitely hit your bell tower the most times. So, I'm not sure how that tradition unfolded, to be honest. It sounds a bit odd.
That's a very bizarre one. Okay, Steve.
Do you know what? I actually saw that, and I was going to say it, and then you ruined it for me. So, you screwed me. But I'll tell you what, I did change my mind.
I'm already stealing answers.
Now you're already stealing, with question one, stealing answers already. But I'll tell you what, let's just focus on the UK and Britain as it is, and let's focus on what other countries could possibly benefit us. For example, the way Germany builds stuff is exceptionally better than the way the United Kingdom builds stuff. It is unbelievable how they do stuff. How Italy is the most beautiful place in Europe, and Britain is not at all anywhere beautiful anywhere at all. How the French make fantastic wine and cheese and better at lovemaking, I imagine. We are not very good at this sort of stuff. We need more of that in the UK. We need people to go to these countries and learn this philosophies of good building, good lovemaking and good viewership, I guess, and make things better in the UK. And also learn how to look after money from Switzerland and be peaceful from Switzerland as well.
I think that could be quite awkward, couldn't it? It's like, hello, I'm here in France. I'm just trying to work out how to do better lovemaking. So I'm just going to sit in your room, just take a couple of notes.
No, I'll just be in the corner.
You're supposed to put it there. That's what I've been doing wrong.
Damn. I mean, it would be awkward for the people that are involved, but, there could be like a contractual agreement.
Oh, you're supposed to take the clothes off first.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to all these British builders going over to Germany. All right, mate, yeah. Oh, no, have you got the sun?
They've got the builds, which is pretty much the same thing. Das build. Yeah.
Good one there. Okay,
Just Chris to know that.
Let's go to James Curley for his first ever answer.
Right, well, my first ever answer was a bit more simple than this one, but I was looking at what the other countries do better than us, which again is quite a lot of things. But I was either one of the things I was thinking about was the way Germany do beer festivals / Oktoberfest. I think we could learn a lot from their beer making and beer celebrating skills. But also, I think the Spanish have got it right when they have a siesta for about 3 hours in the middle of the day. I just thought, I can get that into my working day every day. That I'll be pretty happy with that. So we'll go with the Spanish siesta, just having a nice nap in the middle of the day for a couple of hours, do a bit of work afterwards, and go home.
See, to come in on that point, he begged me all day at work to give him a name drop on it, and Spencer Daughtry is very well versed at siestas, isn't he, James?
Oh, God. Well, yes, he's good at not really coming to work, but yes, he is good at siestas as well.
Okay, on to question 2 now, and as the tournament is taking place in France, let's have some facts about our friends across the pond to educate our footballers. And Steve, we'll let you go first, so Chris can't steal your answer.
Well, that would be nice if he didn't do that at all. So, interesting facts about France. I got a few, so I might steal some of his answers. It will be the other way around. So I learnt yesterday that in the whole city of Paris, they have one stop sign, which probably explains a lot about how bad their traffic is. one singular stop sign. I don't know where it is in France or Paris, but it's just one stop sign. So they don't have to stop ever in Paris. Also, you can marry a dead person. It is the most depressed country in the world, as 1 in 5 people are depressed. Though they did have a small village called Pussy and a town called Condom. So how can you be depressed about that? That's pretty entertaining.
Okay, top-notch answer there from Steve. James, what have you got?
What did I have? Some fairly random ones. It's illegal to name a pig Napoleon. The croissant actually came from Austria, so I decided to claim that. And well, I'm following on from Steve's depressing fact as well about France. Apparently there is a syndrome called Paris syndrome, where lots of excited Japanese tourists turn up in France, being very excited about going to Paris, and then get severely depressed and suffer from delusions, dizziness, sweating, and hallucination and depression because Paris is actually a bit rubbish. So yeah, there we go.
Okay, right, Chris, have you got anything positive to say about France?
I'm not sure it's positive, more sort of odd. So Louis the 19th was King of France for just 20 minutes, which is the shortest ever reign.
Oh, sorry, I forgot you did a history degree.
Wow. Yeah, he ascended to the French throne in July 1830 after his dad abdicated, and then he himself abdicated 20 minutes later in favour of his nephew, the Duke of Bordeaux. It must have just been a sort of like, oh, this is really good, going to be king, and oh, no, actually, I have to do all this? Nah, screw it, you can have it. Just decided to, no, not doing this anymore. The oldest ever human is French. As French woman Jean-Louise Calment lived for 122 years and 164 days. Pretty impressive. Though I'm not sure what she could have done for the last 20.
What did she put it down to?
I'm not sure. Wine, probably. And also, France has some rather odd facts about snails. So the French actually eat 30,000 tons of snails a year, but only 1,000 tons of the classic French delicacy actually comes from France, because they've only got about 100 registered snail farms. So chances are, if you've eaten snails in France, they're not actually French. They're probably Eastern European. So yeah, I would imagine you feel a bit cheated. It's also apparently against the law to carry live snails on a high-speed train in France without their own tickets. And in fact, if you've got any domesticated animal under 5 kilograms, you have to get a ticket for it. It has to be a paying passenger. I'm not sure how they would sort of weigh that up. It's like, hang on a minute, is that 5 kilos or not? Who's got the scales, lads?
We should probably just explain to James, that is Chris's list answer.
Yeah, gotta have a list answer.
Yeah.
Okay, on to question 3, and in a survey of brands people are associating with the European Championships this year, Nike finished 3rd, despite not actually being an official sponsor. So what would you like to see sponsoring this tournament that isn't actually on the list? James?
I found this question a bit strange, but I think maybe looking at all the sponsors, they're all, American brands or big corporate companies, and some of them are like McDonald's, which isn't really, like Coke, which probably doesn't do playing football very good. But I thought, they should have some traditional French stuff. So, why not have like Peugeot sponsoring, or some type of Brie, or like champagne, a bit sponsoring the tournament? That would be a lot more appropriate for the French people, but something like that.
Okay, good stuff. Chris?
I thought, seeing as they're the only home nation who didn't qualify, that Visit Scotland should be sponsoring. Just to remind people that there are some countries who aren't fortunate enough. So actually, sort of like focus on other countries, maybe like Latvia, Denmark, Norway, places that sort of won't really get featured and are generally going to lose out because their countries aren't going. So I thought that would be quite a nice sort of like flip side to it, that you'd actually sort of get them sort of promoted in sort of consolation for not being able to attend. I also think like charities should get more of a sponsoring. I think that's good. I know like Barcelona did UNICEF. Maybe if there was some sort of charities sponsoring, that would be good. sort of raise their profile, because I don't think that happens enough.
Good answer there, Steve.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take a serious and a jokey answer. So my serious answer is actually, like Chris said, charities, but more for immigration and stuff like that. As we all know, there was a massive situation in Calais where a lot of people probably died, and there was a lot of immigration going through, trying to get into the UK. So it'd be cool, given that immigration has been a big focal point over the last year, I'd say, maybe longer than that, and it'd be cool for like a big stage which hosts a lot of European nations and will be the television for European nations to really focus in on that. And my jokey one, because French are known for being quite hairy, particularly the women, Gillette for her.
That's actually true, because you don't actually see Gillette adverts for women.
No, I think Gillette for her is going to be a stormer, and if it hasn't been proposed, I'm ready to propose it.
Well, I think you just put it out there, Steve, The whole
I think
world...
I just have, and this is my idea, and none of you are having any of it.
No.
Who is your armpit of Gillette for her?
I want Angelina Jolie to grow a bit of armpit hair.
I'm sure she's had weirder requests.
Just, can you grow some armpit hair and then shave it off? 2 months of growth, shave it off. And that's all you have to do.
She used to have a blood vial of Billy Bob Thornton's blood round her neck.
Well, each to their own.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of a cracking first round there. And the scores are very tight. At the back on 12, it's James.
Oh,
But
cool.
the experience is showing through. Chris and Steve tied on 13.
It's very close.
So, I'm happy with that. Yeah, close enough.
Okay, on to question 4 now. And who will be the star of the European Championships? Chris.
Going to go with Kevin De Bruyne. I thought he was very impressive for Manchester City this season. Quite frightening in some games. And I think when sort of Man City fell away, it was quite obvious that he was injured at that point. They were definitely missing him. Went to see Man City in February when Spurs were playing them, and they just didn't. So it had the same sort of attacking guile. And I think Belgium are going to do quite well this tournament. There's certainly tips too. So if he can sort of just weigh in with the goals, I think he'd be pretty good. If not him, Paul Pogba also looks pretty strong for France. And France should have a good tournament. They generally do when they host it. So, yeah, expecting big things from both of those guys.
Okay, Steve.
It was tough because I didn't really think much of Belgium, even though they are probably going to be one of the top 4 teams in there.
They have Marianne Fellaini.
I know.
Blonde afro.
And have you seen his hair?
Why? It looks awful. Someone summed it up quite nicely when they said he looks like a makeup brush.
Yes.
Is it to convince Mourinho that he's a different player when he goes back? So Mourinho will be like, this guy with blonde hair. I don't know who he is. So he must be a new signing they brought in for me.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as Aaron Ramsey, though, is it? I mean, he went proper off it. Anyway, back to the question. I did say Paul Pogba, but I actually wanted to reflect back on the World Cup, where the most, probably in my opinion, the best player in the World Cup was Thomas Muller, and I think he will have another cracking year in the Euros. I think he's top quality, and if he plays up front for Germany, their system really works for him, even though he didn't have all that great of a season at Bayern Munich. I think he'll be quality for Germany again.
Okay, so we've gone from De Bruyne to Muller. James, what have you got?
This guy Chris does like to nick people's answers, doesn't he? I was looking at good old Kevin. I think he'd had a bit of a rest with injury as well, so he's potentially going to do well. I think Hazard, despite having an awful season, was coming into his own near the end and could potentially really go for it. But I think Lewandowski is just going to carry Poland through. I reckon he's going to be pretty good this tournament. He doesn't necessarily need much service. He can do it all on his own. And I reckon he'll probably be the best player at the Euros this year.
Okay, right, so on to question number 5. Now, there have been many fantastic goals through the European Championships, but what for you has been the best goal in its history? Steve?
I'm glad I didn't get Chris before me, because I have two, and I have literally been torn to pieces on choosing which one after watching each one several times. You got the obvious Van Basten against USSR. That volley at that angle was something to behold. But I think just edging it was Podolski against Portugal, where he went through about 4 or 5 defenders and then just unceremoniously chipped the Portuguese goalkeeper, which was probably the smoothest chip I've ever seen in my life. So I think I'll go with Podolski. He's pretty cool. He's really good.
Okay, James.
Wow, yeah, there was the Podolski was definitely one of my top ones as well, Steve. That was as you say, one of the best chips. The way it went up so high and then down was a classic goal. That wasn't. I was in my lifetime. I was kind of thinking Ibrahimovic versus Sweden the last year. Well, not versus Sweden, for Sweden versus France at the last Euros. That kind of bicycle kick volley from the edge of the area. That was a brilliant piece of skill. But to be fair, in the end, I went for the old classic. I did go for Marco van Basten, Holland versus USSR, just for the sheer quality and absolute audacity of it. There was absolutely nothing on. He's basically on the byline, and he's just hit it, and wow. So for me, that was the best.
Okay, very, very different answer, but very different type of goal that as well. Chris, have you been left with anything, or are you going to go patriotic?
No, I have actually.
Is it Wayne Rooney's 1-inch tap-in 4 years ago?
No. Andy Carroll scored a better goal than Rooney that tournament.
That is true.
Just to put it into perspective there. No, I've gone with a slightly unconventional one. I've gone with the Netherlands' second goal against Italy in Euro 2008, which was just a brilliant counter-attacking goal. Italy had a corner, which was, I think, pretty much cleared off the line by Van Bronckhorst, and then he pretty much carried it most of the way of the pitch, managed to find Dirk Kuyt, who somehow managed to sort of get it back over to Wesley Sneijder to put it in. It was the pace of the counter-attack that just made it such a good goal. And Italy was supposed to be quite equal with the Netherlands going into that, but Netherlands ended up just ripping them apart, 1-3-0, and it was very impressive stuff. I think it's one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen. And it wasn't like Italy didn't have chances themselves, but Van der Sar was in excellent form as well. Yeah, I also think as well, Paul Scholes, I seem to remember him scoring a cracker against Croatia in Euro 2004. It's a shame for me that Paul Scholes sort of retired too early, because I think he had a lethal shot behind him. Couldn't tackle, but excellent goal scorer.
Don't need to tackle.
Nobody went for Paul Gascoigne.
It's too obvious.
Yeah, it's
the best goal celebration.
See, apparently on Alan Shearer's done that documentary looking back at '96, and all they talk on about it is how much they were drinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good old
in
days.
the era when footballers used to get drunk and fight each other. I'm pretty sure Roy Keane and Peter Schmeichel had a fight once in the late 90s.
Okay, on to question number 6. Give me a stat or fact related to this year's tournament. And this question's been made even easier by the fact BBC have done that basically spoiler-filled article today of every team at the tournament. So we'll start with Chris.
Poland's Vladimir Pesko has 4 kidneys. He was born with them. And this is a rare condition that affects 1 in every 5.5 million people. So, yeah, I don't know whether that will give Poland a competitive edge or not in their match. Watch out, lads, he's got 4 kidneys. And also, this sees the most number of debutants. 5 teams have never played before at the Euros. That's Iceland, Albania, Slovakia, Northern Ireland, and Wales are all making their debuts. Whether any of them will actually get out of the group stages remains to be seen. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to Iceland. Good old Gylfi.
Oh, of course, Gylfi's there.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of Ida.
Oh, yeah, Ida.
Yes, they've taken him as well, despite the fact he's 37.
Yeah.
Well, he's their all-time record goal scorer with 25 goals.
Yeah, but what defender is going to be beaten by a 37-year-old? That's going to be embarrassing.
Okay, Steve.
I actually wanted to put like a personal opinion. They are in 10 different towns and 10 different stadiums they're playing in. And if anyone's ever seen a French football stadium, even if you don't like football and you love architecture, I think these stadiums are a great piece of art. If you have a chance, go and have a look at these stadiums, especially at night. They are unbelievable. They have really done it. I mean, Brazil are just rubbish when they win the World Cup, but I love France for this because they have the most unique and most beautiful stadiums I've ever seen in my life.
Fun fact, it was supposed to be 11 stadiums, but Nancy unfortunately had to pull out because their renovation didn't get done in time. Can you imagine being in that town and be like, yeah, we're going to host the Euros, and what? The work's not done.
Okay, James, stats and facts about the tournament.
Well, I think Chris's fact was the fact that I had, and there's some other ones. Okay.
To BBC.
But, yeah, well, no, I did write some more now. Well, Ricardo Carvalho, for one, is still going, so Eidinger Johnson might be able to score against him because he's also 37. Switzerland, despite being fairly well known for being quite good at defence and generally getting out of groups, have only ever won one game at the Euros, and that was against Portugal in their last match, 2-0. Despite them going through the last World Cup without actually conceding a goal and then going out. And then we could have the first 40-year-old to play at the Euros if Shea Given or Hungary Gabor Kirali. That's the one.
Good old baggy pants.
If either of those play, then yeah, we'll have our first 40-year-old at the Euros.
Does anyone know why he wears the baggy pants? Because it's not a fashion thing. It can't be.
It can't be.
I think he's more comfortable in them, isn't it? It's just a...
I think it's just like, yeah, I'm really comfy in these.
I think maybe he doesn't like the long socks, so he just puts those on. He's like, got them on. He could be sponsored by him.
Could be sponsored by Massive Pants.
Sponsored by MC Hammer.
I guess that brings us to the end of the second round, and it still remains very tight. Holding on desperately on 23, it's James, but you cannot separate them. 24 points each. It's Chris and Steve.
How about you?
Okay, remember you can catch up on past shows with a Waffle if you're not into this Euro 2016 special by visiting our YouTube page. We also have a Twitter page and a Facebook page as well. And we should probably mention you should go to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and see a game of scones.
And Accidental Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. They're doing that again.
Yep.
I watched that last year and that was hilarious.
I think that's basically it for the plugs this week, isn't it, Chris?
Yep.
Yep. Steve, you've not got a rap album out?
Not recently, no. I've been a bit down low since the last year.
Oh, Andy Brown's getting married. I'm going to his wedding. Yeah, Andy. Yeah, marriage. Marriage is good. Cake is good.
Wedding cake's very good.
I don't like wedding cake. It's awful. I hate marzipan.
Rachel and I didn't get to eat our wedding cake. Like this is like one of the ones that we made, especially with like chocolate fingers and stuff. By the time we got to it in the morning, it had all gone.
Yeah, about that.
I knew it.
You may have left it with a bunch of drunken fecklers in the bar.
Yeah, this is always we knew the risks.
Okay, question 7, and most countries have that one talisman. Bale, Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic, Heskey. But which country's talisman will shine brightest this year? James?
Well, I've already had to use this because Chris stole my previous answer. But I had gone with Lewandowski. Maybe also go with Hazard as well. I think Belgium's gonna do well. Although I can't see them winning the thing. They might not get to the final. But I think Robert Lewandowski or even Hazard will be the ones to beat.
Okay, that sounds good. Steve?
I thought about this long and hard. And it's not usually when you look at like a tournament, the key players of every team, they're not the ones that really shine. Like if you go look at Argentina, Lionel Messi doesn't really tell the world alive. in those tournaments. Cristiano Ronaldo never really does much. But I was thinking, if England have a good tournament, get to the semi-finals or the finals, the one player I think who will carry us through will be Harry Kane. And I strongly believe that. I think he's the player that will be the best striker possibly in the tournament if England decide to turn up and play good football.
Okay, that's possibly the best answer of the show there, really, guys.
Sorry.
If you said Daniel Sturridge, you wouldn't have appreciated that. So.
Yeah, but he's rubbish and he's injured. He's no good to anyone.
He's not injured. He's currently not injured. But
Klopp said he's not injured, he's just mentally fragile.
He's just, thinks he's injured a lot.
So he's fake injured. He's like going to school, but he has a cold and he doesn't want to be at school, so he calls in and is like, I don't want to play.
Yeah, that's pretty much. But when he does play, he's a quality striker. But
doesn't excuse the dance.
It doesn't.
Okay.
I can't defend him on that, but then I can't really dancing. So.
Chris, what have you got? A Minnows talisman?
They're more sort of dark horses than minnows. I'm going to go with Marko Arnautovic for Austria. Had a pretty solid season with Stoke. Very strong in the air, very quick. Gave quite a few defences a torrid time, including Manchester City. And I think Austria could have a good tournament. They're in quite an easy group with Hungary and Iceland and Portugal in there. They've got a very good chance of getting out of that and going a long way in the tournament. If not them, and if, like Steve, we have a good tournament, I think Eric Dyer could have a very good tournament as well and actually keep England sort of ticking over, because he's got the ability to play both in defence and midfield. And there's not many players. There's not too many players like that.
What do he play though? I don't know if he'll play.
Really?
I think Roy Hodgson will play Wilshere over him.
Oh no.
Definitely.
But Wilshere breaks as soon as you touch him.
Yeah.
Wilshere's just going for the clubs. He can't bring too much else to that team.
I would have thought that Dyer would start at least one game in the group. I wouldn't have thought you'd play Wilshere every time, because he's still kind of coming back in a way. And he wasn't particularly effective against Portugal. I was not impressed.
Oh no, I completely defend that. I think he is a waste of time, and we should have taken Mark Noble.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Wilshere, he does usually play really well for England. I haven't been impressed with him. He's done nothing all season. I don't think he should have went, but I think he will be played because it's Roy Hodgson over Eric Dyer.
Quite a few of the West Ham squad should have gone. I think, I'd be quite disappointed.
Antonio, if he played, he should have gone, but I think it would have been too soon still. I think if the tournament was next year, definitely, if he had a good season still.
And possibly, I think Andy Carroll could have gone, he had quite a good end of the season, and he's always a good sort of alternative. If it's not working, get him on, lump it up to him.
Yeah, I agree.
He generally causes havoc.
Yeah.
True.
Like his goal, well, he scored, last year as Andy Carroll was that option we could bring on, and he scored against Sweden, didn't he?
It was a really good header, yeah.
Scored a good hat-trick against Arsenal.
Yeah, it's always nice.
I think he must have one of the highest minutes to, one of the lowest minutes to goals ratio in the league, because he didn't play much, but he always seemed to score.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 8 now, and there have been many memorable moments in the tournament over the decades, but which exact moment for you has been the single greatest of any tournament? And we'll start with Chris.
I think it's got to be Greece in 2004. No one really gave them much hope of doing anything. They'd not really sort of been to many tournaments at all, let alone impressed at all. And it was being hosted in Portugal, and in the first game they beat Portugal, and that alone was kind of shocking enough. It's whoa, they can't do that. They can't beat their hosts. That's a terrible courtesy. And but they probably won't do anything else. And then they knocked out France, and people were like, oh, okay, maybe they'll do all right. And then they beat the Czech Republic in semi-finals. They won't beat Portugal in the final day. I mean, Portugal will be much better. And then they actually won. And I don't think Greece are ever going to top that, or anyone else is going to top that in terms of unexpected winners. Yeah. it's up there with Leicester sort of winning the league, isn't it? Not really anyone would have called it. It's not like they had any particular superstars. They were just a very good team, very organised, very disciplined.
See, I want to know what would have happened if Greece had qualified for this tournament. What would their hotel be like? Because they couldn't afford to go big budget. They'd have to sort of premiere in it.
Yeah, but they were awful in the qualifying groups this time around. I mean, it's kind of weird to think now sort of how successful he's been at Leicester, but Claudio Ranieri was the coach for Greece at the start of the tournament, and they lost to the Faroe Islands.
Even Scotland could, at least scrape a draw a couple of years back.
Yeah, no, they finished bottom of their group, and it's just there. Okay. And considering they made like the last 16 of the World Cup, it's a pretty bad fall from grace from Greece.
Yeah. Okay, James, greatest single moment.
I had Greece winning. Obviously, it's a fantastic one, and also Denmark beating West Germany in the final, winning in '92 despite not even qualifying, and actually most of them being on the beach when they got called up. What a good present for your holiday. Like, oh, by the way, do you want to actually come and play football for a bit? Like, get off your ass and come and play. So I mean, that's an amazing one. But I've gone for pretty much what's just about one of my first memories, because I was just about old enough to start remembering things. And that was Gaza versus Scotland. I'm going patriotic here. 1996, when Gary McAllister missed that penalty and the ball just goes up the other end a bit later. Gaza flicks it over Henry's head and just fires it in. And that celebration, that's for me why I love football, why I love England. And yeah, for me that's the greatest moment. Even though it was only in the group stage. That for me is probably the greatest moment of Euros for me.
Okay, nostalgic stuff there. Steve?
Well, Greece was going to be my initial answer, because that is really impressive what they did. But I think if I'm going to take it more recently, I think, for me the greatest thing is how well represented the United Kingdom and Ireland are. Throughout this tournament. I mean, who would have ever put money on both Ireland and Wales and England all qualifying? I mean, it's a shame Scotland didn't come because they were very close. They were a very tough group, but they were really on the edge. I think it goes to show how, everyone slays up. There are better countries in football, like Germany have better football teams, Spain have better football teams, but it goes to show that we're not a slouch ourselves. We are actually doing well, growing homegrown talent, and I think it's quite cool this year that we're all represented almost by 4 countries just in Ireland and England and Wales alone. So I think it's fantastic stuff overall to see countries that never really had much of a footballing history. And people like Iceland, for example, they were nothing a long time ago. They were really nothing at all. No one ever thought of them or anything like that. But now, qualifying and stuff like that, they're just doing really well. It's good to see this sort of smaller teams being allowed in with the increased capacity for the European tournament.
Good stuff there. Okay, question 9, and if you've not really paid much attention so far, this is the question to listen out for. Because our pundits are going to give their predictions on what's going to happen this tournament, and then you should go out and put your money responsibly on those bets. After Leicester won the Premiership title at 5,000 to 1, let's have our predictions for the tournament. So, Steve?
I generally couldn't think of this initially. I'm basically going to wing it because I kind of winged it for the World Cup and I got quite a lot of it right. So,
you said Germany to win.
I did say Germany to win, and I stick with that this year. I think Germany to win, even though they're not the favourites. I think Germany to win. I say England to the semis. I would say one of the Irish teams will get out of the group stage. Cristiano Ronaldo will dive in the box and win the penalty. Nani, if he plays, he will ruin a goal for Ronaldo for some reason. For some strange reason, Luis Suarez will still come out and bite someone on the face. And Jack Wilshere will lose a leg.
Okay.
Put money on it now. It's $5 each.
Chris?
Yeah, I can see Thomas Muller probably being top goal scorer. I think, as discussed before, he's been very dangerous, even though he hasn't had the greatest season. And if not him, then probably Lewandowski. I can see Poland actually beating Germany, and I'm not agreeing with Germany being favourites to win it, because I think in recent friendlies, like, they were sort of dodgy against us defensively. They lost to Slovakia 3-1, which doesn't exactly boast confidence. I think instead it's going to be France this year. Last time France hosted a tournament, 98, they went on to win it, and no one gave them too much of a chance in that tournament, but they sort of, decked Brazil 3-0 in the final. I can see a few red cards in the sort of like the derbies like Austria, Hungary. I think will get quite feisty, particularly as Hungary haven't been in the tournament since the 70s, which is just ridiculous. I can see Gylfi Sigurdsson scoring an excellent free kick or two. I don't think it's going to end well for either the Republic of Ireland or Northern Ireland. I think Republic of Ireland in particular have got a horrible group. They lost all 3 matches last Euros, and I think the same thing might happen again, unfortunately. Yeah, I can also see Austria sort of like surprising a few people and getting to the semi-finals. England, I'm sort of humming and hawing between quarter-finals and semi-finals. It all depends on whether sort of Vardy and Kane, that gets going. If we play like we did against Portugal, we're not going to get further than the quarters, I don't think, because we were not particularly impressive. And I think Wales might actually just about squeak through to the knockout stages. They haven't had a brilliant warm-up to the finals. Then the last match they lost 3-0 to Sweden, but I think they might surprise a few. And Gareth Bale should have a good tournament. In terms of walkouts, I can't necessarily see anyone walking out. But France, knowing them, will probably have some dispute at some point, because that's what they do, even though they haven't got an Elka anymore. And I think Spain are going to be a bit disappointing as well. I think they really lack a striker. If they had a striker, I'd be putting money on them. But without that...
Well, you don't fancy Fernando Torres?
He didn't get picked.
They didn't pick Torres.
No.
Did he not?
No.
Diego Costa. Did they pick Diego? They didn't pick Torres.
No Torres, no Costa, no Mata.
No.
Who did they pick?
Torres is more likely to pick up a booking than score a goal. His tackling is awful. Every time he looks at the ref and is sort of, what?
No, my favourite's Pepe.
Oh,
I mean,
ridiculous.
Poor
yeah.
Pepe. I mean, he was lucky his head was still on his shoulders after that Champions League final.
Money on him getting a red card, actually, because he's a loose cannon. But I loved how Mark Clattenburg just looked at him in the most unimpressed way. It was like, I saw that. Get up.
See,
Did you
say
see
that,
his tongue wag?
Me and Curly were going nuts in the pub because he should be booking him.
Yeah, should have done, really.
Did you see Mark Clattenburg's tongue wag? His unprovoked tongue wag that he did. Did anyone else not notice that?
No.
Watch that again, but watch Mark Clattenburg's tongue. It's the funniest thing.
Okay, James has still got to answer that. Have you got any predictions left? Because I think Chris covered every team.
But Chris covered pretty much everything. He's quite good at covering, isn't he? Well, Mark's going to like it. Well, I think Scotland are going to have a great tournament. They're going to have some nice weather, sunbathing somewhere in Tenerife or something. The top scorer, I have gone for Harry Kane, if we play well. Yeah, with England, it's going to be interesting. If we do play like we should, if we play Eric Dyer and we don't play Rooney and we play Dele Alli behind Vardy and Kane, then I think we'll do well. If we don't do that, we might not even get out of the group. So we'll just have to see. But Wales seem to be doing a bit rubbish, so hopefully we'll finish above them. I've gone for red cards, Pepe, for either a rubbish tackle or some form of feigning a rubbish injury. Top assist, guys, got to be James Milner. Top assist has got to be, as I was saying earlier with De Bruyne, I think is going to be one of the best players there. I think it'll be Kevin De Bruyne, the top assister. Winners, I've also plumped for France. I think if you look at their squad, it is, individually at least, maybe their striking might let them down, but Giroud is doing alright. As Chris said, I think Spain might be a bit disappointing because they haven't got a striker. France are going to beat Germany in the semi-finals, and they're going to need Turkey in the final. There's only that's a random reason because Turkey, in each of their appearances at the Euros, have gone one better. They went the group stage the first time, the quarterfinals the second time, and the semi-final the last time. So it's obvious that it's going to be the final for them this year. And they're going to beat Belgium in the other semi-final. So England are only going to make the quarters. But that's about it.
Okay, good stuff there. Question 10 now, and it's time to pick a five-a-side team comprising of 4 players who played at the championships in its history, and 1 player who never played at the tournament. So let's just rattle through the 5 players there. Chris?
Petr Cech in goal, pretty reliable. Philip Lahm, excellent professional. Modric, pulling strings in midfield, along with Iniesta. Muller up front. And then I think in terms of a player who's never been, Ryan Giggs, just the light at the tournament with mazy dribbles. I was kind of thinking possibly Berbatov as well, because I think he'd be sort of like his style would be quite interesting at the tournament. But I think it's got to be Giggs for me.
That's 7.
No, it isn't. 7? No, Cech.
Yeah.
Lahm.
Yep.
Muller.
Yep.
Who else did I have? Iniesta. And Giggs. That's
Yeah,
5.
Modric as well.
You have Modric.
All right. Who do I drop? Take out Iniesta because I think Modric links up better. Sorry, I can't count.
Okay,
Cheat
Steve.
again.
Right, so my goalkeeper, the player that hasn't played in the Euros yet, is David de Gea. He actually hasn't played in the Euros yet. This will be his first.
Very clever.
And he is the best goalkeeper in the world right now, in my opinion. My defender, Nemanja Vidic, who has played, and I think he's the most solid defender. Then midfield, Zinedine Zidane and Paul Scholes. And then my striker being Ibrahimovic. And I think that would just destroy everything, really. There's nothing more to say about that. That's just ridiculous.
See, that's quite a strong team, but then there is the flip side, your midfield can't tackle.
Hey, that's what Vidic is there for.
That's true. Yep, point back.
And De Gea won't concede.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need midfield defenders if you got De Gea there. Like Man United don't have defenders. They just have him.
No, we don't have defenders. We have a Chris Smalling. And that's
Why
it.
doesn't he start for Spain?
Iker Casillas.
Probably does now, but I can see it
This is getting old.
getting old. He's not.
Yeah.
He did not have a good World Cup.
No,
Or
he did
good
not.
luck.
He was awful.
Okay, James, who's in your five-a-side team?
Do we actually have to pick a defender, or can it just be anyone?
It could be anyone.
Can be okay, because I haven't got any defenders, because it's just going to be all out attack. This. I've got Casper, not Casper Schmeichel, Peter Schmeichel. Well, there we go. Peter Schmeichel in goal, absolute legend. And then I've got Zinedine Zidane, Thierry Henry, Marco van Basten, and I've gone for Ryan Giggs again. Tricky pace down the wing, never played. It was either him or George Best, but I have a feeling George Best might have played at the Euros as well, so I went for Giggs.
I think George Best did in the end, actually.
No.
I think Northern Ireland played at a tournament, and I can't remember if it.
I
Would have been
think
the
that
World
was...
Cup. Would have been the World Cup.
The World
82 World Cup in Spain.
There we go. Confirmation from Chris. I've still gone for Giggs though over Best, so fine.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the questions, and it's terribly, terribly close. We of course now enter our sudden death true or false round. Like the penalty shootouts of the championships, it is unpredictable as to what will happen from now on. However, Steve, you are currently in the lead,
Oh,
so you
what?
get to decide the running order.
I've never been first at this stage.
The pressure, Steve.
It's a lot of pressure. I'm going to give it to the debutant to go first. I
Cool.
then pick myself, and then the most experienced lad, Christopher.
Okay, so this round's fairly simple. Our guests will give a true or false news story from the championships. There will be bonus points awarded, of course, for the most interesting story through to the least interesting, and then the other panelists will have to guess whether the story is true or false. So, James, what is your true or false story?
Spain have won the European Championships twice. True or false?
Right, so Spain have won the championships twice. Okay, Steve, what's your true or false?
In 1988, the Republic of Ireland debuted, and to commemorate their success, they ensured fresh Guinness was shipped straight from Ireland for their after-football match preparation after every game that they played.
Okay, Chris.
Everybody wants a pizza the action. In retrospect, after the success that Leicester had when Claudio Ranieri promised the team free pizza every time they get a clean sheet, Antonio Conte is hoping to use the same sort of ideas to inspire his players. Not only will they get pizza for a clean sheet, they will also get tiramisu for every successful win. Let's hope that they will sort of inspire them to go on to glory.
Okay, so we've got Spain winning the championships twice, Northern Ireland having fresh Guinness, and pizza and tiramisu for success. We will go to Steve, and do you think Spain have won the championships twice?
That will be false.
Okay.
And Chris is. So I'm going to go true for Chris.
True for Chris is. Okay, and Chris, what do you think about Spain winning the championships twice and the fresh Guinness story?
I think Spain winning the championships twice is false, and I'm going to say the Guinness story is also false, because it just sounds too plausible. Very stereotypical, bordering on racism.
Okay, and James, what do you think? Do you think they're true? Do you think they're false?
I think Guinness is true and Chris's one is false.
Okay, right, so bonus points have been awarded, everything still to play for. James, have Spain won the championships twice?
They have not. They've won it 3 times. They also won it back in 1964. So congratulations, you two.
Okay, so that's a point shared between Steve and Chris there, and
That was on a quiz on BBC Sport. I thought I'd try and find it a bit harder.
okay, so Steve, the Northern Ireland Guinness story.
It is false.
Yeah!
Good call on my racism.
I thought it just sounded too stereotypical.
So Chris takes the points there, and finally, pizza the action. Is this true or false?
It's false.
Oh,
Yes.
I thought the tiramisu thing might have tipped you off, Steve, you know.
it was so
I
close, and then it was so thorough. I was there like, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah. I thought that was a bit over the top.
Maybe I wanted it to be true.
It'd be nice if it was. I like the fact that Ranieri sort of promised them pizza if they won. He's great.
Yeah.
He is great.
Okay, so that brings us now to the final score. It's full time. In third place on 42 points. A very good debut. It's James.
Well done, James.
Thank you.
Okay, so now it is, of course, time to announce second and then first. Has Steve made it 3 wins in 3? Or has Chris kept up his reputation as a seasoned veteran? On 45 points. Can you guys hear me alright?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's saying no microphone detection on my Skype.
The tension.
On 45 points, in second place, it's Chris. Which means on 46 points, it's Steve Gibbard with 3 wins in 3.
Yes!
Well done,
Happy.
Steve.
I'm so happy. Why am I so happy?
This is the happiest you've ever been, Steve.
This is the best. This would be credited as Manchester United's best season result.
And that's why we decided to sack Louis van Gaal.
Yes.
Does this mean we're sacking Steve on Monday?
Yep. He's won something. He's got to go. Too much success. Can't handle it.
Oh, I'm pretty chuffed. Thanks, guys.
You did well.
Congratulations.
It helps if you don't put sort of 6 or 7 players in your 5-a-side team.
That would help. If you didn't cheat, Chris. Christopher Stanley. It would have been
Back to school.
There, but for the grace of maths, Chris.
Yeah.
But what's good is your wife's a teacher?
Yeah, but not maths though. English.
English.
So I'll just, all I'll be able to do is put my sort of failure into a limerick or something like that.
You could teach her how to count in syllables.
Yeah.
Ooh, getting technical now.
Well, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode of The Waffle, I'm sure you'll agree. We are hoping to be back later on this year with the continuation of Series 4, where Gibbard is currently marching his way into the final.
Yeah, can't allow that.
I'm
Too
happy
much
with this.
success.
I'm beating top university students. I don't know how I'm doing it. I don't even have a university degree.
You have is it a diploma? What did you have again?
I have a diploma.
A diploma, that's it.
Business management.
He was once
Business management.
mocked
Yeah.
at a wedding.
It was. I got torn to shreds by people who thought that I should have went to university.
Yeah.
And that was possibly the worst experience of my life.
Yeah.
You should have told them, I'm sorry, I just didn't fancy, generations of crippling debt.
Yeah, and to be fair, that didn't sway with them because they had a lot of money.
Yeah.
They didn't understand the concept of debt.
No, they don't know what debt is. They
What
just
is
know
debt?
that debt. What is this word?
Okay, so thank you to my guests, James Curley, Chris Stanley, and our first ever Triple Crown winner, Steve Gibbard.
Woo!
We hope to be back very soon. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Au revoir.
Au revoir.